bit late to this party, but contrary to popular belief, I'm not just a crew guy. I don't even really play the crew in my spare time. I enjoy Motorfest, so I've been playing that, but I'm not really a racing game guy. I grew up with Driver San Francisco, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, which I will talk about more in this video, but I am acquainted with the crew. Ubisoft have done some cool opportunities that they've allowed me to be there with, but I would obviously want to expand and do other things, and I'm not just all crew, you know? And I never wanted to be, I guess. I mean, I'm fine with it. I'm good at crew content, but, you know, I'm not attached to crew content. Just something I know how to do. And I did play Forza Motorsports, whichever one had the Audi R8 growing up. I played that. Barely, as in, by played, I mean I didn't know how it worked and then stopped bothering trying. And I also played Forza Horizon 4 back around, when that came out, I want to say. I never played any other Horizon. I played 4 first, and that was around when it came out. That was my extent of play with the Forza franchise, but my extent of play with Need for Speed went a bit deeper. I played Need for Speed Hot Pursuit growing up. I loved that game. I would play it all the time. I'd play it day in, day out. I remember the Snake Pit was a torturous event to finish. I remember running through that whole game, unlocking the cars, listening to You Are a Cinema every goddamn day, because that soundtrack went so hard for no reason. And in the end, obviously, I grew out of that game and eventually went over to games like, well, everything else I play. Splinter Cell Blacklist is my favorite game of all time. God of War, Spider-Man, played some Lego games. Anything really, a few CODs, but I just played the campaigns growing up. Need for Speed still had a big place there, though. In fact, before Horizon 4, I played Payback, I think, is the one with the Regera heist. I played Payback, and I enjoyed that just as much as I enjoyed Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. I remember caring about that game, being confused by it. I could never really understand it, but I remember caring about it. I remember being like, yeah, this game, pretty sick, and it had the different types of cars and whatnot. And if I'm being deadly honest, that's where my Need for Speed experience kind of finished, though. Now, I know I've got an audience of largely crew viewers, right? But I'm curious, have you guys, or what's your guys' experience with Need for Speed games? Have you played any? What games did you play growing up? What racing games did you play growing up? I mention all of this for one reason. Because the other day, Criterion has now been fully put on to Battlefield. Now, if you didn't know, when Need for Speed, this game here, was coming out, got delayed a whole year because the devs got moved to Battlefield. So, no extra dev time. The game just got stopped production. Stopped on production for a year because they moved on to Battlefield. But then it came back and clearly came out a bit lackluster. I like the base game there, but there just wasn't a lot of substance in this game at all compared to Motorfest currently and how much substance there is in that game. It's shocking how much this was lacking at the beginning. Also, no one seems to want to play. No one wants to play anything. Why does no one want to play anything? Should I do something lower? Like, is that what they want? But, why does no one want to play anything? What about this one? All in, please, please. It only searches in the immediate servers. Oh, that's so dumb. That's so dumb. That's such a dumb way of doing it. Never mind. I guess I didn't want to do any races today. But what Criterion moving over to Battlefield full-time means is that, yeah, EA has gone, oh, that's a flop. Looks like we don't care about you much anymore, and now you're just gonna make the game franchise that also was coming off a hard flop now, even though they got Criterion to help with it to begin with. Now they've got them on full time. I believe it's 2 Need for Speed companies that Battlefield has consumed now, which is funny to a degree, but what happens here, right? Because what it seems like is Need for Speed is dead. I don't think there's going to be any more updates for Unbound, because why would there be? They don't have any developers anymore. Because they were already moving on to the next game, which is such a bad EA practice. I'll talk about that in a second. But they would already have been moving on to the next game, and the post-launch was equally as shoddy in Unbound. Equally as shoddy. I think they had like one good one, and now clearly the big bosses at EA weren't very impressed either. But more so on the fact of player base rather than quality of update. Unless they had a few lying around, right? Unless they had the next 2 volumes lying around, I believe that's it for Unbound. I think that's fully and entirely done as far as it goes for Unbound. Everything's finished. It's done. It's over. There's nothing left. And all that is left is a next Need for Speed, which I guess would be under Playground Games. But hopefully, my hope here is hopefully it's a refresh to the franchise. That's my hope, because everyone's been using the hashtag, the point of this video, we want NFS. That's what everyone's been using, and I back it. I tweeted about it. Follow me on Twitter. I tweeted about it. We also talked about it on the Stick Drift podcast, a podcast out every single Monday. Check it out. The link will be in the description for all things car culture, racing games, and motorsports. And we talked about the We Want Need for Speed hashtag, the movement that has been making some waves, and I want to keep going, clearly. And hopefully this hashtag will show EA that people want Need for Speed. But I think, I forget who it was, I want to say it was Dustin Eden, who said something along the lines of maybe we don't want Need for Speed, because it would probably suck like the recent ones have. And the issue with that is EA just doesn't let a company care. They don't at all let a company care. Apex Legends dropped, and they instantly put them onto Star Wars. That one finished, and they instantly put them onto something else. Every game comes out, and EA, even though they want their long-term microtransaction money, even though they want to milk FIFA players for every penny they have, but with microtransactions on top of the exact same game, every single year, so much so that they can't even bother hiking up to pay the price for the name FIFA anymore. They want all this money, yet they can't even do long-term updates properly, because they instantaneously, as soon as a game comes out, switch over to a skeleton team of like 2 people, give you like 3 cars every 10 years in a video game, and instead go, well, time for you to work on a completely different franchise, or time for you to make a completely different video game. And that's what we're left with. And that's what we're left with. What do you mean? It's painful. EA is, it's impressive. It's impressive. I'm on the Ubisoft, right? The game I play is a Ubisoft game. And they're not even that bad at managing their subsidiaries, at managing their individual dev teams as a publisher. These guys are just atrocious, and they do it with everything. Are we ever gonna get another Titanfall? No, we're not. Oh, what? One of the best shooters of all time, Titanfall 1 and 2? Are we ever gonna get another one? No, because big EA say no. And now they're doing the same thing to Need for Speed. So what do I think's gonna happen with Need for Speed? I think it's gonna come back. The cynic in me in this goddamn rant thinks that it's gonna come back under Playground Games. They're gonna use the shoddy licenses that they can scrape out from all the ones they have left from Need for Speed. Maybe chuck in the few mannerisms from F1 and WRC, and you'll be able to griddy in Need for Speed from the Battle Pass, which they already have in this game now that I think about it. But they'll either go way, even more into the Goofy Festival. Even if it's not a festival, it'll feel like a festival. Racing games can't be a proper story anymore. Racing games can't be you follow a well-written character like the guy from San Francisco. It can't be you follow a story. You do unique missions. Like, you're playing the whole game and then all of a sudden you've got one mission where you're getting cars thrown at you. They can't be this special thing anymore. They've got to be the most bone stock, tell a bone stock story, a bone stock tale. Tell the person, the main character, that they're the most amazing person imaginable. Oh my god, you're so good at racing. What do you mean you just started playing the game and you come and last every event? You're so good at racing. That's all racing games can be now. That's all anything has become now. And it's goddamn torture. It is torture that we just can't have a racing game with heart anymore. Motorfest at least like has the potential there because of the playlist being this sort of car Netflix. I barely consider Motorfest a proper racing game. It's also devoid of the story, but the way Motorfest does it is it's got the playlist where it's a car Netflix you jump into specifically a niche in the car world. Could they be more fleshed out? Could they have more care put into them? Maybe. And by that I just mean make them longer. They're 1 hour long, make them 2 hours long, 3 hours long. Actually have it in depth. Maybe that would justify only getting one new one every 3 months. But Need for Speed, on the other hand, you get 2 cars after 3 months, which is shoddy. And would Playground Games do any better than that? I don't know, because I don't play F1. But what I do know about F1 is it's an every year kind of game. Maybe Playground Games isn't the one who's going to work on it, right? Maybe, I believe, Black Panther did a video, it resurfaced because it was funny, because he was like, as long as a battlefield doesn't get in the way, and then this happens. But he mentioned that like 2 or 3 companies would be working on the next Need for Speed. I hope so. But you know what the issue I see with that is? Is that too many cooks will spoil the damn broth. What happens when 4 companies, what happens when Criterion started working on this next Need for Speed coming out? What happens when those developers started working on it, and now you have to make long-term updates for a game from a dev team that had nothing to do with making the game? I was ranting for so damn long, I ran out of recording space, and that completely made me lose my train of thought. I have no idea what I was talking about. I've completely forgotten what I was on about, but I was lost in the sauce there a little. Look, I want Need for Speed. I think that hopefully there's a chance that it's a positive reset for the franchise now, right? Like that's my hope, is that this is just a positive reset. And maybe they were already gonna planning to do the next Need for Speed, and maybe this was just like a bit of a kick, you know? Maybe now it's like, okay, people actually do like it, so maybe we don't mishandle our goddamn, studios and whatnot like this again, you know? Actually have a dedicated studio for this kind of stuff, because embarrassing. It's embarrassing. But you know what? I fully lost my train of thought. That's gonna be about it from me. Thank you to popular members, a special thank you to famous members, and an insane thank you to star members Danimal the Manimal, Extreme Speed, and Grim Pepper, and an insane top of the top thank you to Icon members HK. That's gonna be about it for me, boys. In a